It's up to you, New York, New York.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Tuesday morning. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on YouTube. Want to hit on some NBA news coming around the league. Yesterday, we have a couple of moves being made. Going to start with the big one, blockbuster deal. Giannis Antetokounmpo headed to the Miami Heat. I briefly did a short on this when it first came over yesterday. I'm going to hit on the good and bad of this deal. For the immediate future, I do think that it postures the Miami Heat to be a player in the Eastern Conference next season coming up, as he and Bam Adebayo will be combining their powers trying to get the Miami Heat back to the championship picture. And of course, head coach Eric Spoelstra, one of the better coaches in the league, might be able to get that going. Longtime Heat player Tyler Hero headed to Milwaukee, as well as a litany of first-round draft capital. Miami becomes old. They're a bit of an older team. This is something where, if you're in the Miami Heat front office, you try to build up the roster around these two stars, Bam Adebayo and Giannis. It was a long time coming. Giannis has wanted out of Milwaukee for some time following the triumph of 2021 when he led the Milwaukee Bucks to their first title in over 5 decades, first title since Lou Alcindor and Oscar Robertson did it there. The Heat, this reignites a rivalry with the Knicks, a longtime rivalry, as the New York Knicks are going to be heading into the season with an unfamiliar target on their back as they're the world champions. I'm excited in the sense that I think it brings more excitement. I'm going into this new NBA season in uncharted territory, as I am not used to my team being the defending champion. First time ever in my life they achieved this goal. And speaking of my New York Knicks, there's going to be all kinds of buzz and conflicting reports as the NBA free agency period and, a lot of trades are going to be going down. Mitchell Robinson has been linked to the Los Angeles Lakers. And Knicks owner James Dolan has already made it clear that he is not going to go into that second apron to ensure that every Knick is back. Now, recently, starting center Karl Anthony Towns did say that he'd be willing to take up to $100 million less if in any way it assists the Knicks front office in keeping as many of the championship Knicks together. But Mitchell Robinson, definitely a vital part of the New York Knicks, a huge rebounder, big-time shot blocker, big-time defensive antagonizer. If you want to poke holes in his game, he's not the most offensive gifted. If he can get a bit of a low post game, as my co-host Idris Salam said yesterday, he could be more of a versatile player. But Mitch definitely has a huge value as the backup center for the Knicks, one of the first subs coming into any and all games. And he was huge in this finals run. Truthfully, the biggest rebound of the series was had by Mitch, which in my opinion won the Knicks the ball game, the closeout game in San Antonio. That's the hard part when you win championships. It's not easy to keep everyone together. We see it happen in the NFL all the time. We may be seeing it now in the NBA. I do believe the Knicks have a good chance of keeping Jose Alvarado to be in a rotation of guards behind superstar Jalen Brunson. Unfortunately, I do think we might lose Landry Shamet, and it's unfortunate because after a well-traveled career, Landry Shamet has, finally found a home in a defined role. We'll see. But if I'm the Knicks, I said it on my show many times in the past few days, keeping Mitchell Robinson has got to be a priority. So we're going to see if the Knicks are able to do that. Do I think the Miami Heat are better after making this deal for Giannis? Of course they are. But when you trade a lot of future assets, it puts pressure on winning now. Now, we saw the Knicks do it with Mikal Bridges, and ultimately that produces a championship. We're going to see what it does for the Miami Heat. And it's a very interesting situation because if Mitch goes to the Lakers, that's going to be interesting. The Lakers, in my opinion, I've said this, need a defensive enforcer, need a presence in the middle. Mitchell Robinson most definitely provides that. And this will be the second time in 3 years that the Knicks lose a center. Now, Ariel Hukporti, obviously, if this goes down, he's going to have an expanded role on the 26-27 Knicks. I do like the fact that he's always ready to go, but ideally, I don't want to lose Mitchell Robinson, longest tenured New York Knick. But if it was Mitchell Robinson's last game with the Knicks, I am very happy that he achieved the ultimate goal, which was winning a championship. We will be glued on that and see if the Knicks can figure out a way to keep Mitch. Another former New York Knick, one of the players credited with changing the culture, along with former New York Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau and Knicks president Leon Rose. I'm talking about Julius Randle. Julius Randle was famously traded along with Dante DiVincenzo to Minnesota 2 years ago in exchange for Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns was a phenomenal acquisition and is the second best player on the Knicks. Julius Randle back in the Big Apple in a different way. He is on the Brooklyn Nets now. He's going to be playing in Barclays. I'm happy for Randle because I know that Randle never truly wanted to leave NYC. Of course, given the direction that the Knicks are going and the culture change, Randle really was not a good fit anymore. A little too much ISO ball if I'm going to poke holes in his game. And I think a little lack of defensive effort. However, when you consider that the Brooklyn Nets are playing for the future, Julius Randle might hang around long enough to be part of something good in Brooklyn in time because, as I already alluded to, the Brooklyn Nets received a lot of picks for Mikal Bridges, and they are definitely under construction. I also like the fact that for an in-city rivalry, bringing in a former New York Knick to Brooklyn, it adds a little spice to the Nets-Knicks rivalry. So we'll see how that plays out. But Julius Randle back in NYC, happy for him in that regard. Of course, the King, LeBron James, nothing defined yet, excuse me, in terms of he is indeed going to go back to the Los Angeles Lakers. I do believe that that is his first choice if he intends to play next season. But I must admit, after seeing Giannis get traded to the Miami Heat, and you have Bam Adebayo, who is becoming a superstar, and of course, coming off his huge performance last year against Washington, would LeBron James be willing to go back to the place where he had his 4 best consecutive seasons, when he went to 4 consecutive finals with the Miami Heat, winning 2 of those 4 with D Wade and Chris Bosh? It would be interesting if LeBron is willing to leave Los Angeles and go there, because I do think that if you add King James to a roster with Bam Adebayo as well as Giannis, it gives them a little more of a championship push and an opportunity to be one of the last teams standing in the East. Boston Celtics are going to be in the headlines as well. They fall short of the Giannis deal. Ultimately, the Milwaukee Bucks felt that the Miami Heat had a better package to offer. Now, what's interesting about the Boston Celtics right now is that it appears that they're going to be breaking up their dynamic duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, with Jaylen Brown probably being the guy to go. We'll be monitoring that situation. And according to Brian Windhorst, among others who cover the NBA, the motivation for the Celtics moving on here, because they have tweaked the roster a couple of times in the last couple of years, is that the Celtics may be conceding the fact that they are not where the Knicks are right now, and they're going to try to do a bit of an overhaul to reform this roster for the next year's coming. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Boston Celtics ultimately do. This is always an exciting time, and this is a more eventful free agency / trade period offseason in recent NBA history. So a lot to keep my eyes glued on. And we're going to be doing plenty of stuff around here on the show, keeping everybody updated. But Julius Randle is a Brooklyn Net. Giannis is now playing in South Beach. Before I get out of here, I do want to hit on my suddenly slumping New York Yankees. It hasn't come with the total penalty because the Tampa Bay Rays, fortunately, have also run into a bad stretch. But when I talk to friends of mine that are like, why are we losing to the Reds and why are we losing to the Tigers? I try to emphasize to people, timing plays such a huge part in when you lose or beat a team that might not be on your level. Now, the Detroit Tigers are trying desperately, truly trying desperately to hang on and be at least a reasonable team that could try to make a wild card push. And in that division in the Central, nobody's going to necessarily completely run away. But in the next 2-3 weeks, the Tigers have to figure out if they're going to be buyers or sellers. Now, back to the timing point of this. Yesterday, it's Framber Valdez head-to-head against former teammate Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole had one really bad inning. Riley Green took him deep, and the Yankees were not able to come back. They were down 5-1. They trimmed it 5-3, but were not able to come back. Today, Carlos Rodon is on the bump against Casey Mize. I do think the Yankees get the W today, but they could be looking at another series loss as Tarek Skubal is on the bump for Game 3. And I reiterate, timing has so much to do with the results. And, baseball is such a marathon, furthest thing from a sprint, that I try to reiterate to everybody, Yankees are 15 over 500. And although the Rays are in second, the team that I'm actually paying attention to is the Toronto Blue Jays. This Toronto Blue Jays team started the year with many an injury, coming off of a heartbreaking World Series loss to the Dodgers in 7. They are starting to pick up some steam for the first time this season. And they are only 7.5 out of first in the American League East. So they are a team that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on to see if they make any deadline moves and try to run it back, so to speak, in terms of the result, to have a chance of getting back to the World Series. The Toronto Blue Jays, although losing a series to the Yankees recently, have given the Yankees a lot of grief in the last couple of seasons. So that's definitely a team that I'm still paying attention to. All in all, 15 games over 500, 46-31. I can't really make too many complaints about the New York Yankees as of right now. Last thought of the day, as I'm making this a brief one, really wanted to speak on the quick NBA happenings, and that's why we're doing this now. But just a really exciting time in terms of New York winning a championship. First team since the New York Giants in the 4 majors to win a championship. And all I can say is that I hope James Dolan isn't satisfied with just winning one. I know that you can't always keep everybody. I know that it's a business, and I know that getting into that second apron is a place where a lot of people don't want to be. But when you have Jalen Brunson playing at the level that he's playing on, You want to maximize it. Now, I'm not saying if we do lose Mitchell Robinson, it's a death sentence. And, a sign of a team that is doing well in the NBA is when their drafts are somewhat boring. This is about keeping rotational pieces or replacing rotational pieces where, as a team, you don't feel you lose much. And that's going to be the challenge for the New York Knicks going into the new season. Because one of the biggest things about this Knick championship run was that their bench was just so good. I have a lot of faith in head coach Mike Brown, as he did a lot in a short amount of time in terms of changing and tweaking certain things about this team and the way this team was run prior to taking over for Tom Thibodeau. As Thibodeau was notoriously known for running the Knicks into the ground, where Mike Brown really leaned on the bench, and it paid massive dividends. If you haven't already, please make it a point to like and subscribe to my channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube. Check out last night's show. We had a lot of fun talking about the greatest floor generals of all time in the NBA. My co-host Idris Salam and I really got into it. Definitely give that a watch. A very detailed show about the greatest floor generals. Announcements to come for my next show. I wish each and every one of you a great Tuesday, and also make it a point to check out Big Bosco Productions, my co-host Idris Salam, putting out a ton of music. You can find his catalog on bandcamp.com. Enjoy today, everyone. Make the best of it. I'm out.
Big Nick energy, we ain't playing nice. Kings of New York, ain't no rolling dice. Flexing on these bitches, we the real deal. Ain't no stopping us, this is how we feel. The Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn, the island of Queens, we ballin' hard. Fulfilling all our dreams, thugging through the hustle. Got that grit and grind in this Big Nick energy, we forever shine. So let them know we rockin'. From the garden to the booth, Knicks in the building, bringing straight up truth. With our heads held high, watch us rise and transcend. Big Nick energy, this is just the beginning. Big Nick energy, we